Hare Krishna, beautiful people of the world. Welcome once again to the Soul Ashraya podcast, a weekly bhakti podcast where we will seek the shelter and wisdom of our dear Lord Krishna with Shastra, prayer, and a conversation. I am your host, Bhakta Jake, and I am joined by my friend and teacher, Balaram Shakti Das, who is finally not in a vehicle.
Yes.
So you're back in Tucson. Does it feel good to be back in Tucson? It feels good to be in
Yeah.
your home away from home, so to speak.
Or just home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, totally. Had a really wonderful program last night. Sang 8 hours of kirtan. So
That's a good amount of kirtan. I tell you what, bud.
pretty solid amount of kirtan, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like that's a good haul. 8 hours. You guys don't mess around.
Yeah.
So down there at the Tucson Temple, is it quite a big temple? Is it? I don't know because the only real temple I've ever been to was the Philadelphia Temple, and that was really quite recently. And ah, thank you, Philadelphia, for having an awesome temple because it was pretty big. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it pretty big
Not
in
like that.
Tucson? It's not.
No.
No.
Size wise, no. It's um I don't know what kind of like reference to give, like a big. Yeah, it's not that big of a room. It's maybe 30 feet by 30 feet, something like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a low ceiling. It's maybe an 8 foot ceiling, 8 or 9 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. No,
But
it's got to be 8 feet because I got to like watch my head when I jump.
yeah, I know you're like 7 feet tall. You don't have a lot of headroom there. Yeah. So
But
is it?
we're building a new temple next to it that'll be like what you think of as a big temple. It'll be like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a small temple, but a fairly large community. It's not like a massive community like Los Angeles or, you know, like the big cities in India.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh, but there's a lot of people,
yeah.
a lot
So,
of people that live in India too.
it gets packed. It gets filled in pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an
That's the main
ashram
reason
there.
why we're building a big temple, so there's more space because it will get really packed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's the Ashramites residents. I was living there to 2021.
I don't know if it's standard operation to have an ashram with a temple at every single like
Definitely. Yeah.
I guess it would be like the like straight up ISKCON temple, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah.
Gaudiya math.
What do you mean? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've been to an actual Gaudiya temple. I've been to a Gaudiya farm community.
Hmm.
Um,
There's one here in Rochester. I might go tomorrow
I
actually.
know. I know. Yeah, I gotta
It's
check
up
that
off of
out.
Lake Ave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I know. I know. They say they don't have any problems though.
Can't imagine why they would. You're spreading good vibes. It's pretty sure
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to live in a temple in a place like that and be like interact. I mean, like Kansas City, it's like right next to the temple. it's like the hood, like the
Yeah.
neighbors, constant marijuana smell.
Yeah.
You know,
Same,
you go
same here
outside
in New
temple.
York. Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's
yeah, the
annoying.
ashram,
So
I mean,
annoying. Smell weed
yeah,
where you go. Super annoying.
yeah, yeah. Of course, if you're a weed smoker,
Oh, then it's
it's
great.
paradise.
Yeah, man. Sorry. I need to be nice. I know. I have mercy though. I'm merciful. If I wasn't, I'd be really, really digging into them. But I'm merciful. I'm working on being more and more merciful every day. Ugh, sorry. So I mean, they are under Krishna's protection. So I think that they're, that's why they're fine. You know, I tell you what, they're like one street over. It's like, ugh, not the place to be if you want to. Like, there's no reason to be up there
You got like the
unless
road
you're
to
like
Dewey?
doing something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the road you're talking about, Dewey?
yeah, it's Dewey, and then
Like after
Lyall is like,
Lyall.
yeah, it's like where Dewey and Lyall kind of they like do this thing here,
Okay.
and then like it's like off of Lake Ave, like just anywhere up there, it's gonna get a little dicey, no matter where you go. It's just like lock the windows or lock the doors, you know, no problem. Yep. Yeah, no problem. Just passing through. Hi. Just
Yeah.
another white guy. Nothing to see here. Um,
Notice the rust on my car. Just,
yeah.
just nothing.
So,
Yeah.
Rochester, the city that I love, um, has it's faced some challenges in the last couple of years, especially. You know, I can't really remember a time where it's been like it is now, and it's kind of sad to see because it's been it's been changing. It's just been changing over the years. I mean, I've been up
Yeah.
there a million times, up to Lake Ave, Dewey, all that area, Lyall Ave, Hudson, all that place. I mean, you know, and it was okay, but now it's just a different scene, it's a different time. Things are changing, the years are flying by, and culturally and politically, it's just not the same.
Getting more degraded. That's what you're saying.
Well, they're having problems. The mayor, and not to get into this whole thing like while we're doing the show, but you know the only reason I want to bring this up is because the devotees from Syracuse had the chance to buy a place in Rochester over in the 19th ward. So over kind of by the U of R, like on the other side of the river, basically, you know. And the 19th ward is well known because that's where like Kodak built the 19th ward. All those houses are all the same. And that was like all the managers and upper salesmen from Kodak used to live there. So that area is not really it's I would call it safe, you know, but I don't know what happened with the devotees from Syracuse. I don't know. Maybe the whole business plan fell through, but man, it would be a good place to have a temple in Rochester. It would just be a great thing to have like an ISKCON temple in Rochester. It's great that there's a Gaudiya Math temple there, you know. Um, we're from that lineage anyway, aren't we? We're from the Gaudiya Maths, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that isn't that what we just had his a disappearance day or appearance day?
Yeah, that was disappearance day. That's why we did the 8 hour kirtan yesterday.
Yeah, for Saraswati.
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Who he was the founder of the Gaudiya mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're from that same lineage. It's just called a different thing because Prabhupada started this thing called ISKCON. But
Yeah.
it is literally the same thing. It's the same lineage.
It's not necessarily the same thing, but it's the same lineage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, that's a whole nother
I know.
discussion.
We're just rabbit holing like this one. I guess it's because it's been a while since we've done a show. Like it's definitely been a good time, a good stretch of time since we've done a show. Do you want to elaborate on anything that you had mentioned in your solo video, which I saw got a lot of views and I thought it was really good too. I thought it was epic. Is there anything you want to say about that real quick, or not to put you on the spot or the hot seat or anything, but that I love just the parallels that you made, and I am just so glad we made it through the holidays because this holiday season was like the strangest ever. It was like so weird. I guess this is like really my second Krsna conscious Christmas. I missed the first. It would have been third, but kind of on the third on the first one there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I guess it's interesting. It'll be interesting to hear your experience next year. We're just, as we're progressing as devotees, the way that things in our life used to hold meaning for us changes,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the point in the book that we're at, we left off with Vasudev saying, although I am imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth, meaning there with him. How many millions and millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? So yeah, I talked a little about that. And the last time that I think we did the show, when we read that, we were talking about the humility of Vasudev and the reception of the Lord in our lives, and sort of like how you would rehearse proposing to your girlfriend. It's like something that it's like that's your moment, right? That's like the most important moment of most people's lives, in a sense, right? Isn't it? It's a very important moment. Anyway, any important moment, it's like you're going to be rehearsing.
Oh my goodness.
It's a good analogy. I don't know why you're laughing.
I will agree. Yes, absolutely.
In a healthy relationship, right? And this is like the ultimate.
In a Krsna conscious relationship, it is. Yes, in a godly relationship, it is. It is absolutely. Everything is different in a godly relationship. Everything is nice.
Yeah. Well, what is a godly relationship? And this is something that it's like a theme for me that I'm really trying to churn out, and spread awareness, spread like, consciousness on this, like debunking or demystifying the whole God thing, because so many people are turned off by that. I had a conversation with my cousin out in California, and we were talking about like everything about the science of God, but every time I used the word God, it was like we had to like backtrack, and eventually it was just like, all right, we don't even need to use that term anymore. But because for me, like she was sharing that, like, I have sort of reconciled all of my issues with that, from like the point of turning away from God to now, like it holds just radically different meaning for me. Whereas for her, it was like that term just doesn't work, even though the things I'm talking about is not speaking to those connections and correspondences that she has with the word God. I'm speaking about something totally different, but it's like, well, that term doesn't work. So when we say godly life, we're not talking about something dogmatic. We're talking about you coming in contact with you, yourself, like the real you. Right. And then from there, that we're talking about the spiritual platform, talking about you getting in touch with your soul. And then on the platform of being in touch with the soul, there are then so many higher levels of that, namely the super soul and the personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
And all of his associates, his holy dom, his spiritual kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Right. All of
We're
those
talking
things.
about like the person of God. That's how I see God as like a person, like an actual like being that I give water, flowers, prasad, or boga. I give him boga. I give him offerings because he's like a real thing. He's like the person. Krishna to me is like a person, and his energy is everywhere. Yogamaya is part of him. We're in Kali Yuga.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you want me to talk about that last episode, but I wanted to get like touch on this point, or more than touch, perhaps, on recognizing this sacred and like seeing a holy day, the holiday, as not just a festival that passes, that you like enjoy and then it's just a memory, but rather an opportunity to deepen more into the eternal now, if you will, like the actual presence of yourself and God. That's not a memory. That's like your actual consciousness that is eternal. That will, this moment. It's like, make the world around, like set your corner of the universe in order. Like that's all you have. That's all you'll ever have, is just what are you creating around yourself? Like what is your consciousness doing with itself? Like that should be something that everyone is interested. That is something that everyone is interested in, but it's just the most material nature gradually bring us into ignorance until we're, at the requiem of a dream sort of place on Lake Hat.
There you go. Bring it right back.
Right, there it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's what it is, Prabhu, and that's what we're seeing. Yeah, because it's very relevant, I think, for all of us to understand. It's not just as God is not something to like push away, neither is the what's a politically correct term for the dispossessed of society, because what has
absolutely
right, what is it's not just like that part of society just avoid like the plague. It's not just to avoid it. It's like obviously you don't want to go there and like just like set a picnic table out and just like, this is where I want to live and be. It's like that kind of, we're avoiding because the association is bad, but the mental avoidance is a different thing. It's everything in the world is something that we can contemplate, but how? And this is where Krishna consciousness really has made it, for myself and for so many devotees, a radical difference, because spiritual realization is not simply just I'm one with everything and then having this very ambiguous direction as far as like well, what do I do with that oneness? Like, what am I supposed to do with the dispossessed? Like, how am I supposed to identify, relate? How am I supposed to relate? So Christian consciousness is radical because it teaches you how to relate with everything in your life, in your world, right? You see it in relation to Krishna. It's not just you in this relationship with everything else. There is this vertical dimension.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it teaches you the whole science.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's
Please.
a point. It's like it's like what we would call in the construction industry. It's a benchmark. It's where you have one point that is level with the whole building site, and if you ever need to know how high something needs to be or how it needs to be level, you go back to that benchmark and you check it out and make sure that you're level and that you're building levelly on at the height that you need to be at. North Star benchmark,
Yeah, no,
square one. Yeah, it puts everything, it puts your life into that sort of like thinking, in that sort of grid, I guess you would call it, maybe, where no matter how wild things start to get, you can always come back to center, just center, Krishna, center. I screwed up again, go right back, center. Eh?
nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we can contemplate the dispossessed in our own, like my own person, just to understand the nature of material energy. Like the Sri Ishopanishad, which is like the first Upanishad. So it's like there it is. As the most important Upanishad. I think we do this sometimes, and the Zoom thing, it won't, because you don't say anything, so it won't switch your face to your
Oh,
video.
really? Oh,
Yeah, I'll be acknowledging something on your screen. Yeah. Speak, Jake.
This is it. An amazing book.
That should do it. That should do
Okay.
it. There's a verse in there that says basically the wise study the nature of spiritual energy and material energy side by side. So one way of understanding that is because it's like you have to have experience with both. You have to have spiritual experience and you have to have material experience. Doesn't mean that you have to, again, yeah, you have to go live on Lake Ave, and that's one way of doing it. But it's it's enough to just use your intelligence and just observe the nature of the modes of material energy, like what happens. So I was driving through Philly with a friend once, and we were driving through a rough part of town, really just decrepit, gray, just profanity. Just everything was just profane, and just broken down, and probably just like needles lying around on the street, sort of thing. And she made some comment, and it just sort of like dawned on me. It's like, this is what life looks like when you forget God, right? It's like that's all it is. It's nothing else, Whereas, yes, let's get into the book, because this is nice kind of segue.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as like what life looks like when you're prosperous, So like that's God. It's like it doesn't have to be this thing of like it's like this. It's this dogmatic thing, and you have to accept it. And we're going to like artificially impose it on your person. Yeah. You can't ever do that, right? We should understand, like, that's not something that you can ever do. And I think a lot of people in this time are rejecting those things and really leaning to this much more liberal approach to lifestyle of, I think I should just really focus on what feels right for me. for my individual person, and live according to that. Just like, yeah, like what else is there to do? Like, you have to follow your heart. The problem is you're confusing between your heart and your senses, your body and your mind, and they don't have this vertical dimension of like clear direction in life, direction that is specifically pertinent and relevant and real to you, not anyone else. Not just like this is the vertical direction for society. Here's the great book. And it's like, yeah, there are books, but they're not speaking like down to you. They're speaking from like to the within you, to the soul, to within you, so that soul can come to life. And that is what's most real to you, not just what your body and mind says. That's only superficially real to you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You want to get into the book?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring up the prayers. I got them right here, bud. How does that look on the screen? Does that look okay?
Yeah. Can you take that sidebar off?
I don't know if I can. Maybe I can't. Oh, yes, I can. A little bit, anyway.
Okay. There's probably a full screen option.
Yeah. Let me do that. Oh, great.
Okay. There we go.
Now they're tiny.
Yeah.
Oh.
You do like a Command plus or Control plus to zoom in.
Yeah. Let me see here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Abu, I am so sorry.
That's fine. I'm sure there's a way to figure it out, but
yeah, let's just
hopefully
dive
not
right
too many people are
yeah.
watching a tiny screen if they're trying to read. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Yayo.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Oh,
So we're reading about Vasudev. I was just thinking as we were chanting the first mantra. It's not on that sheet. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I just figured it out. Look,
What's that?
big. Now you can read them.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Just figured it out.
Nice.
This is what happens when you're an old man. So anyway, let's get right in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah. So that's actually the first mantra that I ever learned. I learned it in the jungle in Peru. There was this little community I stayed at for like a few days, just like deep in the jungle. That was the deepest, that I ever went into like the Amazon jungle. And yeah, there was this man there. What was his name? I remembered it a while back, but Ishwara. His name was Ishvara, and he taught us some Vedic science. And I remember we sat around every morning before we ate, we all sat together. We ate together and we sat together and we chanted Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And yeah, I just remember the sense of the vibration of it and what he was explaining. It's like it's the all-pervading soul. Right? We're connecting with that, like from our heart. We're meant to chant from our heart, not like in our mind or just with our mouth. Because it's really what it is the mantra is expanding the consciousness of the heart, you know. And but what he did not explain, you know, he didn't have the understanding that we now have, which is very nice because it's brought this kind of full circle for my spiritual path, that Vasudev literally means the son of Vasudev. So this is Vasudev. It's a short A. You notice there's no line over the first A. When there is, it means the son of Vasudev, who is Krsna. So this newborn child is known as Vasudev, and it's a Vasudev. Anyway, this is a name of God that means the all pervading soul. So it's a very universal thing. You know, it's not just like, oh, like why should we worship this personality in Vasudev's family? You know, some random person in India. You know, it's the Vedic science is much more universal, just in regards to the way that your individual consciousness connects to all of the terms, all of the stories, all of the, you know, the whole language and the names. They're so much more like pertinent to you, to your consciousness. It's just that our consciousness is covered over by so many layers of conceptions and identifications. But they get, you know, peeled away or dissolved by connecting directly through the chanting. So, yeah, just I'm sure that. Okay, so we're going to hear a little bit about Vasudev's culture, and we'll see just like how wonderful life was. And we've heard, you know, last couple episodes, you know, we've heard a little bit about just how beautiful it was, right? Talking about the scenery there, and we'll hear so much more in this book about the different beautiful things of Vedic culture, of this original human culture, which is a reflection of the culture of the spiritual worlds, like a pure reflection. Whereas the reflection that you see in the city of Rochester of culture is, you know, a little diluted, and it's becoming, okay, so we're kind of, I don't know if we finished that thought. It's just becoming more and more diluted, like more and more degraded.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's because we're forgetting God. It's because we're forgetting Vasudev. We're forgetting the soul of this body of the world, the universe, our life, our own heart. You know, we're forgetting what is the animating force, and that force is a person. Not only is it a force, not only, you know, can you use the force, Luke, you know, like that's real too. You can also like live your life in that way of an impersonal connection with God, with, you know, source. But if that's true, if you can have a reciprocal thing going on where your consciousness is like getting deeper into the zone, into like your element, then because you are a person, it only makes sense that you would also be able to have an interface with that absolute truth as a person. And so he has that form, and that's his original form, is this very personal form that we can relate to. And when that is there in our life, everything becomes beautiful, right? Whereas when that is taken away, everything just, we see what it looks like. And that's kind of like the contemplation for the age, is to see how because this is Kali Yuga, where previous ages things just kind of went on fine. Even like previous generations, things just like went along.
Yeah.
You didn't have like all these issues, but now it's like things are just rapidly to the point of like we have to start asking these very deep questions. Okay, you want to read?
Sure, I'll read.
Cool.
Okay, when Vasudeva, who is also called Anakadanaboyi, I'm so sorry,
Close enough.
was
I don't
looking.
know if I would have done much better.
That's a rough one there. Was looking at his newborn baby. He was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy, the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmanas and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance. But because he was shackled within the walls of Kamsa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas.
All right, that's, yeah.
Should I go on, or do you want to talk about that for a second?
Oh, that's a stopping point just for a few minutes. I think the idea of this that we can really relate to is just Oprah Winfrey. It's like, you get a cow and you get a cow and
Oh,
everyone gets a cow.
yeah.
Right? Like that magnanimous spirit of just giving, that's what's going on here. And it might, and that's the idea that we can really connect with. We might not be able to connect so readily with the idea of like, well, why a cow? But really the point here is like, that's one of the best gifts. It's a very opulent gift. It's, ornamented with gold. It's like, well, that's definitely, like, wow, like what a culture. Because I think about this, Jake. We give gold like in a box, or like maybe like something, just like a cheap thing. Mukunabur was here. Jai, welcome.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So like, Apple is known for their like package design, right? Like very, very, I don't know, but there's a word I'm looking for. Very sharp, just super nice, right? And we have the different boxes, but it's just, at the end of the day, that packaging is garbage. Like we put it in the waste bin. If it was so nice, why are we wasting it? Right? Why is it just going in the trash? Whereas something that you'll notice in this culture, there is no trash. Like there's waste bin. I mean, there probably is, for like dust and stuff, but there is no waste management department, or whatever. When gifts are given, or when houses are ornamented, there's nothing plastic. They did it with all natural resources. And in this example, it's pretty amazing. He's giving a gift as a decoration on a living being, like that's fancy. Like talk about a fancy way to give a gift, like decorating a living being, who not like a slave, but as the gift that keeps on giving, right? The cow is the ultimate gift that keeps on giving. And the cow is known as mother because on the same level that a mother gives to us, the cow is also capable of giving.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah. It's just in and out just a little bit. And that, what a difference too. That thing is sweet. It's very nice. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'll pick up right there and kind of run with that for a second. But yeah. It's it's a thing of really wanting to, I tell you, man, like in your heart of hearts, I can speak for myself, there's so much I would want to give, like sometimes the Lord just deals with you and you're like, man, I just want to give like everything to everybody, like I wish I had a big cart just full of money, and just like pass it out to people, like a wheelbarrow full of money and like go down to like somewhere and just like hand it out.
Yeah. So imagine what the conditions were to be able to give. So it's because it's like wheelbarrow of money would be a little more practical than giving someone a cow because they don't have the facilities or to take care of the cow. So it's like,
Right,
why would
right.
you? It's like Bhakti Nick last night was sharing. He was telling someone he met at the store, like, friend that he had made, like, it'd be nice to have a cow. And he forgot this person's vegan. So they're just like,
Oh,
why would you want a cow?
oh, yeah,
Oh yeah, sorry. But just the understanding isn't there. It's like there's disconnect.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's a nice. So Prabhu, the last sentence here is speaking right to your dilemma. I don't know if dilemma is the right word, but we want to give. So Vasudev was in this like ultimate state of wanting to give. I mean, personality of Godhead himself directly appeared before him, and he wasn't able to give anything. So what he did was in his mind, he gave.
Yeah.
This is very instructive.
Yes, yes.
Yes, because I was just listening to a video this morning, actually, where this devotee was talking about what was he saying? Like, I forget how he titled it. Reverse engineering your like, and he's talking about as man thinketh, the book As Man Thinketh. Krsna here, Vasudev, he's living that. He's actually living that. I mean, I haven't read the book yet. It is on my list, but it's basically like as you think, so your world, is created, right? Like the contents of your mind, like how are you using your mind is not inconsequential, right? And that is your treasure. That is your wealth. Your real wealth comes from how you're using your mind. Even if you only have a very low income stream, right? If you really utilize your mind to its full capacity, you will be very wealthy. And within very little time, you could be a millionaire. Like there was a video on building wealth as a trucker that I was watching. It's relevant to me, right? And he made this point, like it really doesn't matter how many cents per mile you're getting. It matters like how you're controlling your cash flow. What are you doing with your money? You can become just as rich as anyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, the contents of your mind. So think about this, like think, right? Like actually use your mind. What do you want to create? Like get really clear with it, like really utilize. Don't just allow your mind to go down these streams of just distraction and just waste your time. Don't waste your time, even if, because the thing is, we'll convince ourselves, just like the people in the ghetto, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not to say that that's what it is, or that I'm saying that they're creating, but in a sense of perpetuating their situation, that is definitely occurring. And of course, there's many factors that go into this, but it's definitely, not only is I'm speaking to that population, I'm speaking for all of us that allow ourselves to waste time.
Yeah.
No,
we're
affected staying in a ghetto,
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from, because we have a book too in our trade. We've actually got 2 books, and it talks about the same thing. Like, it does not matter how much you're making an hour, or what job you're on, or whatever, what local you're working out of, or whatever. It has to do with how you save your money, and how you, like, your whole mentality towards your money. Now, in this little passage that we just read, when it says that within his mind he gave thousands of cows to the brahmanas. Now, I've heard this before somewhere, where someone was saying that you can offer prasad even in your mind. You can offer flowers even in your mind. You can offer a glass of water even in your mind to Krsna, and he accepts it just like it's the real thing. Do you know where that is? I know it's somewhere. I don't know if it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, or it's somewhere, but I have heard it before from like all different people.
Probably Chaitanya Charitamrita, maybe Mukunda knows. I don't know the exact location. There's a few things. There's like the South Indian Brahmana, a very famous story. I've just heard it so many times that I have no idea where it actually is.
Yeah.
And then there's Srila Narottam Das, and probably all of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. They would perform what's called Manasa Seva. Manas is the mind, Seva is service. So you're serving with your mind. So we have like these different vehicles. We've got the gross body and a subtle body that you can act with. There's also the sadhaka deha, which is practitioner, but it's also like a subtle sort of spiritual body that we're doing our spiritual practice with.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
they're actually like in that, like on that platform, they're doing service.
and speaking of the money situation, is one thing. What there's like, I'll just say this real quick, is like there's a concept of like short money and long money, right? Short money is what you can make on the street real quick, but it never gets you anywhere. It's there and it's gone. And then there's long money, which is like thinking ahead, saving, investing in long-term investments, stuff like that. It's a shame that so many people cannot see ahead in the future just a little bit, and it's only to their detriment. It really is. I will add on to that tithing, giving to a church, giving to a temple, giving to some sort of I would say practically any kind of religious institution, I would call that long money, because there's something about giving to a religious institution that it always comes back to you, and it comes back in the long term too. Like, it just changes your whole mentality.
That's what Vasudev is doing. He's giving charity to brahmanas, to people who their whole occupation in life is devotion service, is absorption in the spiritual world. So if you're supporting someone who's on a spiritual platform, what does that make you? You're taken up in that. So that is the eternal long game. Is like, that's what we're going for.
The eternal long game.
Nice.
Playing that long game.
Yeah. So it's like, you can invest your time, energy, and money, which are kind of all the same thing, different forms of the same thing, right? in so many different things. You can evaporate it and just like watch it disappear, right? And we call that enjoyment, right? In different forms. Or you can invest it. And yeah, play the long game of how can I invest this energy? How can I channel my consciousness to the stream? So like the Goswamis, Vasudev, they're in a very elevated state of how to stream their energy. They're thinking, they're thinking, how can I invest spiritually that's going to give me the most returns? So it might look strange, or like offering water or a tulsi leaf and a thing of rice or something to Krsna. It might not look that it's plugged into USB.
Yeah. It's okay. It's just, but just keep on going. Let's just keep on rolling.
It might look like it's not a like, how could I get a return from that? But this is the Vedic science. This is like the top-down knowledge. Whereas it might take us a while to kind of build up the bottom-up scientific understanding of why it is that way. But if you do, this is what you'll find. That
I love it. Top-down
right?
knowledge. I love
it.
Oh man. Yes. Sorry, Prabhu.
So
sorry.
Individually, thank you. Individually, everyone is doing this bottom up now. Like, again, you can't do anything else but like what your heart is saying. Well, this feels nice. That more liberal approach. Like, I don't vibe with that, so why would I do it? It's like, yeah, why would you do it? If it doesn't make sense to you. So, but you can't just live your life that way. You also have to take inspiration from people and just kind of have faith. It's like the stock market. You have faith. It's not just that I know this is going to give me exactly this return. No, there's some faith invested. And that's just an example for everything. Like, nobody in this world lives without faith. Unless you're like in the darkest realm of ignorance, then you're just totally in ignorance, right? But if you're at all in the mode of passion or goodness, you have some faith invested in where to stream your energy. That's what passion and goodness mean. Ignorance means your energy is not streaming anymore. You're literally only draining it. Right? That's what ignorance means. We see how that manifests. Mode of passion means I'm investing my energy, and mode of goodness means I'm containing my energy. I'm not investing in anything that isn't going to give me returns, and ultimately, like, I'm not chasing after anything in the past and future anymore. I'm making only investments that keep me present. And then there's the spiritual platform, which is I'm making only investments that are eternal gains.
Mukunda, chime right in here. What do you got, buddy? Wait. Oh, I thought you were going. Go ahead.
Oh. Sorry, I got nothing. I couldn't figure out how to unmute on my phone or on my car.
Okay. That's okay, Prabhu. We love you, Mukunda. So,
yeah. So eventually, okay, just to
so good, so good.
Yeah. So we're having like mode of passion is where I think, kind of building this bottom up. Like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest like this. But maybe this is a loose correlation, but at any rate, there's going to be ideas that come in to your world from others, from like authorities, right? Who say, invest like this, You know, a church is also doing that. They're saying, invest in this. It's in the mode of pure goodness. It'll give you eternal benefit. Trust us, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe I'll take a little bit of that. But this Vedic science is very much a science. You can verify it. You don't have to take it on good faith and wait for your death to see what returns there are. You'll get the returns because the kingdom of God is here in this present moment, right? You know, you can actually enter into it. And so the Goswamis, the Brahmanas, right? Brahmana means someone who's doing that, who's making spiritual investments. Whereas the Kshatriyas, so Brahmanas first class of society, first tier, it's the head of society. That's like the intelligence. So again, use your time. As man thinketh, it's like be Brahminical in the sense of don't just waste your energy, use good intelligence of how you can create a beautiful life, right? And then the Kshatriya, right? Kshatriya, yeah, it's the second class, and that's Vasudev. He's a Kshatriya. So
like soldiers stuff, right?
Yeah, soldiers, administrators, politicians, rulers.
Politicians,
Yeah. So the administrative sector of society, those are the arms of society, right? So his position was a little bit different. He wasn't in the position to be a Brahmana, to be like fully absorbed like that, but he was in a position to fully support those who are fully absorbed.
Yeah. Brahmanas.
Yes. So you're saying tithing, that's why we tithe. So he was tithing, and even if he couldn't tithe, you know, mentally he could still, he knows the Vedic science. He knows the science of as man thinketh. He's like, if I did have the resources, how would I use them? You know, so you can think large like that. Don't think small.
Oh,
you know, is kind of right.
Yeah. Never. I try not to. You gotta think outside the box. You gotta think big. I feel like God wants us to think big. You know?
Well, that's why, because that's our original nature in the spiritual world. There are no limitations. You can literally infinite realm of possibility for you to utilize energy. Whereas here, everything is limited because we're not yet open to that. You know, we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah,
so that's why he doesn't bring us to the spiritual world, because we don't know what to do with ourselves. So it's like, well, if you don't know what to do, then, you know, think about it for a while.
Now, we're not talking about like this whole thing of like manifesting. Are we talking?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, it's in the same vein there. You're manifesting, but what's the difference? You know, service versus manifestation. Manifestation is what I get back. Service is simply what I give. And I'm not concerned with what I get back. I know that my world is going to manifest, but I'm not concerned with it manifesting here, nor even in this lifetime, because I'm thinking actually much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Thinking about like thing, because manifestation is based on your karma. If you don't have the karma for something, you can't get it. You know, if you're not qualified, it's like, well, I want to become president of the United States. Well, do you have the qualification? No, but I'm going to manifest. I'm just going to, like, you know, put it out to you.
See, I used to
in my mind, I'm going to think like eventually you will.
Right. And
you know,
I used to be like all into that kind of stuff because, like, you know, when I had my band going, I was like, you know, we have to think that we're going to be rock stars, then we will be rock stars, you know. Just an example, just one example, you know. And you know, we got to places that were, you know, normal bands, like local bands, were not getting to. However, you know, we hit the ceiling because it was like not God's will, not what was supposed to be happening at all, you know. So you could do it with anything, whether you're a musician or whether you're a mathematician or a professor or whatever. Manifesting things, you're going to hit a ceiling. Okay, when you want to actually give to God, give back to a church, give to something that is God conscious, it's like a whole nother realm. And it just like, whether you want it, I feel like it's whether you want it to actually do anything for you or not, it will still do something for you and you won't even know it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, you're saying God's will. It's like there's God's will and then there's God's sanction. And I was connecting these with because the whole manifestation thing, it's based on two things, or like karma is based on desire and karma, like your qualification. So do you want to become president of the United States? Like, do you really have a strong enough desire? Like you have to have a intense, like stronger than anyone else. Like Donald Trump, say what you want, but that man had a very strong desire. He manifested it, but he also had the karma for it. So your desire has to be very strong, and you have to have a very high karma.
Yeah, there's a pro skateboarder that says that he manifested himself as a pro skateboarder, and he's known for like saying this. It's like in interviews he always says, I was nobody. I was sitting on a curb one day on my skateboard, and I thought in my mind, I'm going to be a pro skateboarding. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do this. And then he said, like the next day, just things started happening, and he would just like go to that same place in his mind and just see himself like landing the trick. He would just concentrate so hard in his mind and like see himself, every little detail about it, and then he would just go and do it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess there is something to material manifestation, but you're still going to hit a wall because you're not God. We're still humans.
What's interesting, Jake, is actually that experience is not independent of God whatsoever. What was it that instigated that thought and desire? We call that paramatma. This is our science, is that those things are coming from the paramatma, because in a previous life you had developed that desire, and now that you have the karma for it, the paramatma is reminding you, hey, you wanted this, now it's available, go get it. Right? He's your best friend. He's going to do that for you. So that's, you could say, his sanction. He's sanctioning our karma. So that's the one half of the equation. The other half is desire, which is either against or towards or in line with his will. So when we're aligning ourselves with God's will, then that's when spiritual manifestation takes place. There's something else.
Yeah, Prabhu. Well, I tell you what, we are definitely at time right now. We got one paragraph of the book in on this New Year's Eve. Goodbye, 2023. Hello, 2024. Soon, this will all be a memory, and we will move on to higher realms and higher realms in Krsna consciousness. Prabhu.
So that's the idea. Don't, what your desire is, that's like your free will. You can desire, and then you get a certain karma based on how you act with those desires. You'll get a karma for those things to manifest. Spiritual science is saying, try to upgrade your desire, upgrade it. You can bring it right in alignment with Lord's will, and then everything you manifest will be eternal. And okay, because that's right. I wanted to touch on that point you mentioned of things in your world, even whether or not you want them, he'll give you. And there's some very, very nice stories in our literature about that, nice examples of that.
Yes, we will get into that. We are gonna read this book. Believe me, my beautiful people out there in the audience and around the world who watch this show for some reason, we're gonna get into the book. I think it's Balaram. People watch it to watch Balaram, definitely not me. So, all right, let's wrap up 2023 by saying the Maha Mantra 3 times. What do you say,
Beautiful.
Balaram?
Sounds perfect. Perfect way to kick off the new year. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you once again. You can check us out on YouTube, WhatsApp, other places as well. We are the Soul Ashraya podcast, and we love you. Take care, everybody, and Hari Hari Bol.